Hey, well, let's play Halo 2. Specifically, let's probably finish it, because there's really not that much of the game left.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I was about to say probably finish it. I don't have an inkling of how long this game is exactly, so I don't know if it's going to be this exact episode, but...
It depends. There's 2 missions left, including the one we're on.
Could be this episode, then.
Yeah.
I might just let it run a little long. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
I remembered from last time that it was like pretty much definitely going to be over this session.
Oh, it'll be over today. It's Friday. That means it'll be over today. We watched the cutscene in the last video, so if you are confused, go watch the other LP and then this LP. Forehead.
The dropships are touching down all over the city.
Don't watch the last episode first.
Used us. We were just a diversion. An amber flag was always its intended vector.
You fucking not? What the shit?
I'll lead you to it.
This damn.
Hey, I told you don't die.
And I told you I would do my best.
This doesn't sound like your best.
I am still very much alive.
That remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I, however, am very much not alive.
Are you telling me you're both ghosts?
Flood-controlled dropships are touching.
Alright, well, LP's... You can't top that. LP's over.
The library.
Yeah, sorry. We're ghosts now.
We were just a diversion. An amber flag was always its intended vector.
Hey, I don't judge.
Conduit connecting this tower to the ship. Head back inside. I'll lead you to it.
If you want to play video games for the internet from the afterlife, that's fine with me.
What else am I gonna do with this afterlife? It's boring as shit here. Can you believe you're not allowed to sin here? What the fuck?
Yeah, I know, man. It's crazy.
What about all my countless vices?
I don't know.
I'll disable this lift once you reach the top. That'll slow them down. I hope.
At first I could only think of one, and then I was like, no, I guess I can think of 2, kind of.
Shall we let the flood consume our holy city? Turn our charity from another terrorist high.
Well, now I've got to know. Why is this game so goddamn loud? Now I've got to know. What are Brody's vices according to Galuf?
Has ever withstood our might.
Alcohol and boobies.
That's one way of putting it, yeah.
I can't slow the launch sequence. Something inside the ship, a presence, fighting back. For a Covenant construct, it's unusually formidable.
Ow, 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 ow. No, no. Oh, fuck. Flashlight, go. Nope. Pardon me, I'm I'm on a strict time limit of oh god, oh fuck, oh god.
Don't bother me because I don't want to deal with what's behind me.
That sounds like your problem, fuckers.
Yes.
Parasite did not defeat the Forerunners, and it shall not defeat us.
Who wants to tell him?
Arrogant creature. Your deaths will be instantaneous, while we shall suffer the progress of infinitude.
Security systems in this part of the tower are particularly robust.
Whosoever
Ow! Stay away from me!
is here, my son. His wise counsel in my ears.
Oh yeah, the Prophet Mercy is by his side.
Apparently these are the Prophet Hierarch's private quarters, their inner sanctum.
Really, game? You just let me... Okay. It said no more. Nope, never mind.
I didn't realize you were cloaked at first, and I was kind of wondering why they just stood there and took that.
It's okay, I didn't realize I was cloaked either. I just assumed the AI was
This
busted.
chronicle to the end of us. It is but one last
I thought I saw you uncloak, but maybe that was just like something else, some other effect, I don't know.
Could be. And the Halo AI does also just break sometimes.
Yeah.
Brood and elite ships are engaging one another all around High Cherry.
Here, have another sword.
I'm running out of options, Chief. I can't stall the launch sequence much longer. The next lift will take you up to the conduit. Hurry!
Neom.
I didn't realize the sword actually had limited uses. I guess it makes sense because it's an energy sword.
Yep. In lore, it's like something about the release of gases. Oh, hey.
I knew the Covenant was good at repurposing Forerunner technology, but this is amazing. They've been using the Forerunner ship's engines as an energy source for the city. The ship isn't so much launching as it is disengaging, uncoupling itself from High Charity's power grid.
It's cool.
Stopping troops.
Can you end the level now? Minutes! 4 times 15.
Damn.
Bullets!
Chief, when you get to Earth, good luck.
After I'm through with truth.
Don't make a girl a promise if you know you can't keep it.
Oh, that's right. We're leaving her behind. You thought we were going to be able to grab her on the way out? No, sir. Now, this next part is probably why the Arbiter kind of got shit when this game came out. The final level is played as the Arbiter.
Yeah.
You don't actually beat this game as Master Chief. For all intents and purposes, we will see the Master Chief exactly one more time in this game. And it's the epilogue cutscene.
Yeah, that's a little weird, maybe.
It's grown on me a lot.
Where the counselors were meant to watch the consecration of the icon, the start of the great journey. There is still time to stop the key from turning.
I must get inside.
Then mount up, Arbiter. I know a way to break those doors.
Yeah, about that. Get out of the tank. Your ass, my size 24 hoof. The game says, use alien tank. I say, okay. We haven't really had a chance to talk about the Wraith yet, despite being at the end of the second game. So, the Wraith launches more like mortars than tank shells. Which would have been obvious, you know, if you were watching, paying attention. But I do feel like it's worth talking about. It does make the Wraith very distinct. The Scorpion, the human tank, is just a death machine. They go through, hit them with tungsten rounds, their toast, they explode. This is more suited for ranged combat. It's a support vehicle more than anything. I'm just repurposing it for mayhem. And I just think that's interesting how the human vehicles and the Covenant vehicles, while both having distinct purposes, aren't one-for-one copies of one another.
Yeah, they're actual different vehicles because the Covenant would have a totally different way of thinking.
Like,
than we do.
Instead of the Warthog, they use a bunch of ghosts. And this game introduced the Covenant Warthog through the Spectre, but initially, the idea was just they send out like 3 or 4 ghosts for one Warthog.
Yeah.
And their tanks are support range. And you can tell by the placement of enemy wraiths that is what the intention was. Back in the first game, every wraith is placed near the opposite end of the map from us. Because it's not meant to be up close and personal, it's not that kind of vehicle.
Yeah.
The Covenant have the Banshees. The humans in the first 2 installments don't have an equivalent. They kind of dominate the infantry to aerospace combat. There's a lot of thought put into how these vehicles are designed, and I think that's really cool.
It's particularly nice in the case of this game where you play as someone from each side at different points too, because that way it's not just a skin thrown over the campaign.
Yeah, it's not like you're just playing the humans but with purple tinted vehicles or something. No, these vehicles are different. The humans don't really get an equivalent to the ghost until the next game, and even then, their ghost isn't really a ghost. It's still something unique and different. And I mean, that's something we'll touch on when we get to 3, but it's just really cool that Bungie went out of their way to make sure that both sides had unique functions to their vehicles and unique. Each army feels like a unique entity. The Covenant army doesn't feel identical to the human military.
Also, after a whole game having to deal with things like the hunters, it's a cool moment to just be in a room with 2 hunters that are on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, it's cool to fight alongside elites. I genuinely think the Arbiter segments are really cool. And I wish that it didn't take so many years for them to get the love that they deserve. Friendly fire isn't, assholes!
It'd be like that sometimes. I feel like there's a lot of things from the GameCube, PS2, Xbox era across all 3 systems that like weren't met with a lot of enthusiasm when they came out in their time, but then like over time people warmed up to it.
I think that has to do with this being one of the more experimental generations. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right now, we're in one of the more play-it-safe generations, I think. We're just coming out of that, I should say.
In a way, we're starting to plateau, too, in some ways with graphics and stuff. Like, I feel like we've kind of reached a peak, almost a peak, in terms of, like, making things realistic, and it's just like with further generations we were able to be like, now it looks realistic with even better detail,
but like,
or like higher frame rate.
Like the NES era was inherently experimental because no one knew what they were doing in like a respectful way. It was just no one really knew what was going on. And then like the PS1 Dreamcast N64 era, that was 3D, so it was all new. And this era was just experimental because they understood the technology and people were trying weird stuff.
Yeah, like, everything is 3D, what can I do with it? Yeah.
And I think it's, I think a lot of that, I think a lot of things in this era people warmed up to later. Sorry, I shot my own teammate there.
I mean, in a lot of cases too, it's things that just like especially in regards to things like this, where it's like a sequel to an established series. There are a lot of cases of things being very different than what people were used to in some way or another, and people don't always like change initially.
Well, yeah, it's like the whole experimental thing. A lot of Halo 2 is an experiment.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe didn't come across as well as they wanted it to initially, but has aged really well because it makes Halo 2 stand out amongst the establishing game of the trilogy and the capstone game of the trilogy. Halo 2 is, by definition, this weird middle child of a game that really makes no sense, but is really good because it tries to be so unique and interesting on its own right.
Come on in, Chief. Water's fine.
I'm not the Master Chief. I don't know if that even makes sense.
Listen, you don't like me and I sure as hell don't like you. But if we don't do something, Mr. Mohawk's gonna activate this ring. And we're all gonna die.
Tartarus has locked himself inside the control room.
Well, I just happen to have a key. Come on, grab a banshee and give me some cover. Gonna know what's coming.
I love Johnson.
Yeah.
But there's usually, like, I don't know, something about the second installment of this series just makes it feel... I almost give Halo 2 the credit of being the most unique of the trilogy. Not my favorite of the trilogy, not even the most important of the trilogy, but the most unique in a lot of respects. And I'm sure part of that experimental nature is just with like 9 months to make a game, they didn't have enough time to flesh it out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can appreciate it. I have my own instances of series where there's a game that is not necessarily the best or even my favorite of the series, but also I just revere so much the things that it does differently that I really love it for that.
Yeah.
Also, in terms of like things that people warmed up to later, but didn't have a warm reception initially, I was kind of like, I was thinking it was like the same era for like the GameCube. There was the Wind Waker. People hated that at first, and then liked it later. And on the PS2, we've already made reference to that. There's Metal Gear Solid 2 with the whole Raiden thing.
Yeah, people really didn't like Raiden, and now he's like a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Though MGS4 did a lot to make people like him, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, because they just kind of completely changed his character.
In universe with an explanation.
Yeah, like in ways that made sense.
Yeah.
But at points still stands.
Spoiler for Metal Gear Solid 4, two old game? The man catches a fucking battleship or something. No, he catches a Metal Gear. That's right. It's a Metal Gear, not a battleship. It's Ray. Anyway, he catches that motherfucker. That's the coolest thing you ever seen, and if you disagree, you're wrong.
I think people who have even a passing interest in the Metal Gear series would have some idea of what like becomes of Raiden just because Revengeance exists.
That game is so good. That game is a better 5th Metal Gear Solid than the actual 5th Metal Gear Solid. It's not funny because it's a joke. It's funny because it's true.
It's in the weird position of, from a gameplay standpoint, it is not Metal Gear at all. But in terms of story, yeah, it's a better Metal Gear than Metal Gear 5.
In terms of story, characterization, and writing,
yeah,
it is infinitely better. In terms of gameplay, it's not an evolution of the series at all, but it is damn good. And, you know, Metal Gear Solid 5 doesn't really feel like an evolution of the series to me anyways. It's a stealth game, yes. But that's a conversation for not today.
I feel like, ultimately, too, like, I mean, I could be wrong, but I would suspect that a lot of people cared more about the plot of Metal Gear than about the gameplay.
It's true.
Yeah. Definitely.
Too bad 5 fucks both.
Believe it or not, I've still never played 5.
I've only seen clips of it. It's actually, it and Revengeance both are 2 games that I've only seen clips of, and like I haven't played for myself, and I haven't seen the entirety of. Between the 2, I actually want to play Revengeance, and I own that one. I don't own 5, and I don't care.
The right answer. I got this guy to the floor! My God! Floor gun didn't save me.
Well, I haven't played 5. It's like, I'm not really, I am only interested in playing it on principle because I'm a big Metal Gear fan and just, I haven't beaten 5 and it seems like feels like I should.
You shouldn't.
But, yeah, but I really don't care. But like Revengeance, I've played, just never played years ago, but never actually finished. So, but yeah, fun game.
Well, if anything, you can at least say it's a better Metal Gear Solid 5 in that it actually continues the world.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah.
There's one thing I like from 5, and I don't actually know how I'd feel about it in context. I just like it because out of context as a clip, it's funny.
There's a lot of things I
revenge.
There's a lot of things I love out of context in that game, but everything in context of that game pisses me off. Alright, we'll have our day. We'll have our Halo day with that too. Funnily enough, it's Halo 5 where we'll have our this is not good day.
Oh.
I think I heard some things about that game at some point in the past. I feel like one of the things I might have heard is actually a similar complaint to why people didn't like Final Fantasy 13. One of the reasons, anyway. Basically hallways.
It's not inaccurate. I've got a lot of complaints about that game, ultimately.
Well,
Did you blow yourself up, you fucking idiots?
Was 5 the last one before Infinite?
Yep. Infinite is Halo 6. And everything but name. Like they've even said, it is Halo 6, we just didn't call it Halo 6. Who's ready for the final boss fight?
Oh boy.
Come, human. It is easy. Take the icon in your hands and do as you are told.
Please use caution. This reclaimer is delicate.
One more word, Oracle, and I'll rip your eye from its socket. Which is nothing compared to what I'll do to you.
Tartarus, stop.
Impossible.
Put down the icon.
Put it down and disobey the Hierarchs?
There are things about Halo even the Hierarchs do not understand.
Take care, Arbiter.
This lore, Tartarus. This lore makes no sense.
Oracle, what is Halo's purpose?
Collectively, the seven.
Not another word.
Please, don't shake the light bulb. If you want to keep your brain inside your head, I tell those boys to chill. Go ahead, do your thing.
The sacred rings, what are they?
Weapons of last resort, built by the Forerunners to eliminate potential flood hosts, thereby rendering the parasite harmless.
And those who made the rings? What happened to the Forerunners?
After exhausting every other strategic option, my creators activated the rings. They and all additional sentient life in 3 radii of the galactic center died as planned. Would you like to see the relevant data?
Tartarus, the prophets have betrayed us.
No, Arbiter! The great journey has begun, and the brutes, not the elite, shall be the prophet's escort.
Homie really said, yo, fuck your science, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so final boss fight. Johnson's shooting him with that thing, right? That beam rifle. Until Johnson lands a shot, we cannot damage Tartarus. You can tell because he's got the blue glowies. See? Blue glowies.
Yeah.
So you wait patiently, and when the blue glowies go away, you spam. And then the blue glowies come back, and you wait.
Shut them down.
And then the blue glowies go away, and then you wait again.
Quit stalling.
And then the blue glowies go away, and you shoot him. And then you run away, because he actually starts paying attention to you.
Yeah, he took out your backup.
He's the one-shot kill, for the record. That hammer will fuck you up.
Well, that makes this a little more threatening.
Sad. Fuck you! I don't know why I walked towards that. Eat shit!
What's that?
A beacon.
What's it doing?
Communicating at superluminal speeds with the frequency of
Communicating with what?
the other installations.
Show me.
Fail-safe protocol. In the event of unexpected shutdown, the entire system will move to standby status. All remaining platforms are now ready for remote activation.
Remote activation? From here?
Don't be ridiculous.
Listen, Tinkerbell, don't make me...
Then where? Where would someone go to activate the other rings?
Why the Ark? Of course.
And where, Oracle, is that?
We've got a new contact. Unknown classification. It isn't one of ours. Take it out.
This is Spartan 117.
Anyone hear me? Over.
Isolate that signal. Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship?
Sir, finishing this fight.
There's your ending.
Yeah.
Now wait 3 more years, fucker!
I can see how that was a problem at the time, too. The fact that you finish the game and it was just kind of... And you wait for the next game that's essentially just Halo 2 Part 2.
Silence fills the empty grave now that I am gone. But my mind is not at rest, for questions linger on. I will ask, and you will answer.
All right. Shoot.
Oh yeah, don't forget, we left Cortana on High Charity. Just chilling with the Gravemind. No big deal.
And Gravemind is bored, so he's gonna have a chat with her.
Yeah, he's like, this bitch quiet. What's poppin'? Again, no final credits because of MCC. Big bummer. So we'll just mute the main menu and talk final thoughts here. I like this game a lot, and I see a lot of its faults, even in this playthrough. I see a lot of its faults, but I think I've just got too much nostalgia to ever say I don't like it, or to really care too much about its faults. I played this with my dad all the time, so I've got kind of that lingering sentiment. But beyond that, I do think a lot of what it tries to do is legitimately cool. Playing as the Arbiter, even if a lot of his levels are a pain in the ass flood fests, are pretty good, especially as the last couple. And the Arbiter as a character is a lot of fun. It's fun to see someone's faith shaken from the inside of their own religious organization to the point of civil unrest. It's fun to get a look at the Covenant at something beyond just mindless bad guys. And it's a good setup for a sequel, even if the setup is incredibly forced. But the questions it sets up for the sequel are good ones, and the stakes that it raises. Yeah, I mean, pretty cut and dry on it, to be honest. Like, I think it sets up good stakes and raises good questions. I just think the way that it sets up preparing you for the next game is, like, kind of lame.
Yeah, it works better nowadays when you just have the next game available to you immediately, so it doesn't really matter that they do it that way now, but at the time it was kind of eh.
Yeah, when I played this, I was like, oh, I have to wait? My birthday present in the year 2007 was an Xbox 360 and a copy of Halo 3.
Nice.
I played that extensively as well, and we'll be sure to show it off. I don't really have any closing thoughts. Flawed game, but really interesting because it tries to be so different, and I like it and respect it just for that alone.
I may not have picked up as much on the flaws because I'm just kind of sitting here watching it rather than having to play it myself, but I thought this game was a lot more interesting than the first one, honestly.
Narratively, it has a lot more going on. The first one is the only narrative point of interest is what the ring is in the first game, and you figure that out like a little before halfway through the game, and then the back half of the game is just stop the ring, and that's like it's a basic plot structure. Basically, this game takes that foundation and builds upon it in interesting ways by building from the other side of the field and expanding out. And I think that was a good way to go about it.
Yeah,
and that's like sell the first game short because it has like a couple interesting twists in there, and then like it's also great. It, especially for its time, was amazing at creating atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just overall, I think the second game was more interesting.
Yep, I think the narrative of Halo 2 is mostly better. Ending aside, I think the gameplay of Halo 1 is probably more enjoyable. Besides a spare few like quality of life changes, is probably the most objective I can get about it. The soundtrack for both games is phenomenal, so I'm not even going to bother comparing because part of it is that a lot of them are just rearrangements of the same tracks.
Yeah,
but phenomenal arrangements nonetheless. So I guess next time I don't know what you'll actually see after this LP, but just for the sake of the cool segue, next time we'll finish the fight. Ha! I said the thing.